Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I want to answer a question I got from a blog reader who sent me an email about a very difficult situation. I'm going to tell you what the email basically said was this, and she wrote me and said, I've been working a secretarial type of job. I think it was some sort of an office type administrative job. I've got significant back issues. I think she had diabetes as well. She says, I'm working but really barely hanging on. I need to keep this job because I need the money. I'm a single parent and I'm supporting a couple of kids. If I stop working, I'm going to lose my place where I live. I'm going to lose my car. What do I do? Because I think that I'm disabled. I think that my doctors would support me. I'm missing a lot of work. The only reason I've kept this job is that my boss is an old friend, but I can't just quit, because if I do, I've got maybe a month or two reserve and that's it. And how do I make sure that my decision will be made quickly? And that's a tough one, because there's no way to ensure that your decision will be issued quickly, that you'll get a favorable decision quickly. And as a practical matter, if you apply for benefits and you're still working, then you're not going to, they won't even take your application, because one of the questions, the first questions they ask is, are you working? So, and I think even if you're working part-time or whatever, judges are really looking for people who just cannot work at all. Their attitude is that if you're able to work by hook or crook, then you're not disabled. So even if you're suffering but you're able to do it, for most judges that means you're not disabled. So I guess really the best thing to do in that situation is to really prepare. What I mean by that is that if you know you're going to apply for disability, line up your medical support. Get your treating doctor on board. If you can get a functional capacity form to the doctor that you can get filled out right when you stop working, and have the doctor address it in a narrative report, that would be very, very helpful. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to have the medical support, so when you make your application, you can not only submit medical records, but you can submit an opinion piece from your doctor that basically says that as of the time you stop working, you really have no capacity to work anymore. And when I get involved in cases early, sometimes I will actually draft the letter that the doctor writes, or offer some language so that it really addresses exactly what Social Security would be looking for. I think the second thing is, if at all possible, line up family support, because again, if you stop working and you apply for disability, it could be for 3, 4, 5 months, it could be 2.5 years. So you need to make sure you have a place to live. Talk to your friends and family. In a worst case emergency situation, can you live with them for a while until your decision comes through? So again, I wouldn't wait till you're the repo guy's circling and the house is about to go into foreclosure. Think about these things early. And I think the third thing is to look at the listings, and I'm going to give you a link to the listings here on the screen. The listings are where Social Security has identified specific medical issues that on their face are disabling. So for example, in a cardiac case, if your heart is pumping at 20% of capacity, that is a listing level impairment, because it's presumed that somebody whose heart function is that low would not be able to work. If you've got multiple herniated discs and you cannot walk, that would be a listing level case. So again, this is where talking to an attorney might be helpful, is to look and see whether or not you've got a listing level case, and you can get doctor support for that listing level case. Then you're mostly there. It's just a matter of getting that documentation to the adjudicator and connecting the dots for them, and it would really speed up the process to get an early decision. So there's no way to guarantee an early favorable decision, but if you prepare for it and you line up the resources you're going to need, both medical, in terms of medical records and support from your doctor, as well as family resources to help give you a place to live while you're waiting, that can really go a long way to allowing you to stop working so that you can get on benefits, have the money coming in to live with some dignity, get medical access, and then hopefully at some point down the road get back to work. So that's my answer to someone who is barely hanging on at work, but really probably needs to go ahead and apply for disability and is concerned about stopping and quitting because of just what they've heard about the delays. Hope this has been helpful. Again, my name is Jonathan Ginsberg, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon.